welcome back to another Flash episode review. My thoughts on tonight's episode of Flash titled Monster. And I just want to start off by saying, this review is probably going to be pretty short. Tonight's episode was kind of pretty cut and dry, not too much going on. It was more of a character development kind of episode rather than a story focusing on, alchemy or the main story of the season. So, while there was definitely some huge things going on in this episode, again, it wasn't too eventful. The villain, or lack thereof, really, didn't allow for, the most dynamic of episodes, or the most action-packed of episodes, but there's enough character development and character moments that I enjoyed enough to find this episode pretty entertaining. Obviously not my favorite episode. It's I'm not saying it's a forgettable episode, but it's just kind of like okay. So to get my thoughts on tonight's episode, again, I liked it. Some of my favorite moments were, seeing the dynamic between Barry and Julian, who's played by Tom Felton. And, ever since Tom Felton was cast in the show, and ever since he was introduced in the show, I've always wondered that, were they going to go the route of him being a villain? Because of his history with being Draco Malfoy in the Harry Potter movies and stuff like that. Some people are theorizing that he's already going to... People are theorizing that he is going to be Alchemy. And I don't want him to be Alchemy because I feel like it's too obvious, while we see an emotionally deep character, I don't want I don't know. I just want something new in a villain that's not just like a friend who ends up betraying Barry and then ends up being the big bad. And then, I want more than that. Maybe... what they're doing with Julian, they're making it so obvious to the point where they'll be able to trick us, and who knows, maybe someone we weren't even expecting at all ends up being Alchemy, So, definitely the moments with him and Barry trying to open up to him and not trying to be, a jerk, or just trying to relate to Julian on a more human level and find out why he hates metahumans and kind of why he is the way he is towards Barry. I like a lot of those scenes, especially in the end, after, Julian almost killed the kid who was controlling the holographic monster that was terrorizing the city throughout the episode. And seeing how that really affected Julian. And even though I don't want him to be Alchemy or anything, I'm really starting to like his it does feel like he's one of the more realistic and more human characters in the show. And seeing the way he was affected by him almost killing a high school kid, that was, again, it felt real, it felt emotional. And when you see Barry trying to sympathize with them by saying, Barry losing his parents and all that stuff, he can relate, and someone relate to what he's going through, but also telling Julian that he needs to be able to accept change and not be so afraid of it, and kind of welcome it in as a new friend and stop looking at it as a potential enemy. And I think in that moment, they bonded, and I don't necessarily want them to be best friends or anything, but if they can have an ally kind of relationship, just while they're there, they can be there for each other, but not the best of friends or something along those lines. Kind of like how Eddie was towards the end of season 1 of Flash. If that's what they can end up having him do in the season, I'll be okay with that, because this episode for me, by the end, it got me to like Julian more as a character, because we see him more emotional, feel like a more real character. And to me, it was one of the better parts of the episode. And then obviously in tonight's episode, we also see more of Caitlin and her dealing with the realization that she's really starting to become Killer Frost, and the fact that they reveal in this episode that she's started to manifest these powers a few months ago, and still no one on Team Flash knows, and her dealing with that and ultimately confronting her mom. Honestly, and this is something I gotta say, when they announced that Caitlin Snow's mom was going to come into the show in episode 5 of season 3, I was very reminiscent of them doing the exact same thing with Felicity Smoke's mom in season 3 of Arrow. And season 3 of Arrow, as most of you guys know, was, after the mid-season finale, was complete and utter garbage. And Felicity's story arc that season, leading into season 4 and all that stuff, was awful. And people have compared Caitlin Snow to be the kind of like the Felicity Smoke of the show, and well, I don't think Caitlin's that bad of a character or anything. I think up until the whole Killer Frost thing, the writers didn't always know what to do with Caitlin, other than to make her someone else's love interest. So in this episode, we're starting to see more of her kind of slowly becoming Killer Frost, and honestly, I wouldn't be shocked if by the end of the season she ends up being against the team and ends up maybe teaming up with Alchemy, or even becomes like the big bad of next season. Because we find out the more she uses her powers, the more irreversible it becomes. And we all knew it was going to be irreversible anyway. But just seeing Caitlyn deal with that, and then having her trying to fix her relationship with her mom, that I really don't care about too much. I like the aspect of her trying to, get her powers away, or make her powers go away, and going to her mom for that, because she doesn't want to tell anyone on the team. But by the end of the episode, I could really care less about her mom. So like when that guy who worked with her mom tried to take her hostage, and then Caitlyn froze the guy's arm, and her mom runs in and apologizes for being a terrible mom after Caitlyn's dad died. I'm at that point I didn't care enough about what was going on with their relationship. I want to see Killer Frost, and I really don't care about her relationship with her mom. That's just me, because I don't know. Parts of it seem a little too reminiscent of the whole Felicity Smoke and Arrow thing, and I want to see more of Killer Frost. I don't need her to see her mom. That's just me personally. So there's that, and of course by the end of the episode we see how much more she's using her powers, and I'm excited to see what they're gonna do with Caitlyn moving forward. I really am. And now, and every week now it seems like it kind of ends with having little tidbits of her using her powers. Like the little cliffhanger endings are usually about Caitlyn. So there's that, and I wonder what's gonna happen moving forward, because as you can already tell, she's kind of becoming more and more distant from the team the more she uses her powers. So we'll see how that plays out. And then of course the other big thing in tonight's episode was, the team come to terms with the new Harrison Wells, or HR as they call him, and how he's kind of fitting into the team and what his role in the team is. And Cisco's almost from the beginning doesn't trust the guy. And I knew he wasn't going to be like a bad guy or anything like that, because the way they marketed it, because they wouldn't have made it so obvious if he was a bad guy or if he was super untrusting. I mean, the reasons for him being, there's to read a book and stuff like that is kind of dumb. And I'm not sure if I like the direction they're taking the character, but I like Harrison Wells enough as a character in general to be interested with what they're doing. But I don't know. I guess we'll just see, because it's just hard to get into something that's a little over the top sometimes. And the way I'm here to write a book, and I don't do anything. I'm just here to give ideas. I don't know if I'm super into that, but again, we'll see. I mean, this show is still one of my favorite shows. So it continues to do great things, and I hope that with this new version of Harrison Wells, that we do get to see more of a different take on the character, even though we're already starting to see that. Give us something new, also give us a more dynamic character, if that makes sense. Let's see, what else? Also I did really like seeing Iris out in the field more in this episode. Her out, in the streets helping people as she's reporting. Her going to her going to CCPD to talk to her dad about potentially getting a story. I just like the writers including Iris more, and Iris doing her job and kind of being a normal person, and seeing her relationship with Barry. Now that they're together, it's not like super forced or anything. They just act like a normal couple, and that's one of the reasons why I'm so happy that they're finally together, and that the writers see that you can write a relationship without it being hokey and overly dramatic and stuff like that. You can just have them be normal people in a normal relationship. And I'm so happy that, West Allen is that relationship, and at least of all these DC comic book shows, that's the healthiest and feels the most real. So, I think that's gonna be it for my thoughts on tonight's episode. Again, pretty cut and dry. There's enough character moments in this episode that I enjoyed. Obviously, the development of Killer Frost, seeing more of the development between Barry and Julian's relationship, seeing more of Iris out in the field. The villain being the kid controlling the monster, I couldn't care less about that. I mean, I did, bullying is an issue, and that's something that's kind of brought up by the end of the episode, because the reason why the kid did it was because he felt like he was alone, he was picked on at school and stuff like that. But I feel like they could have, if they wanted to convey that message to us as an audience, they could have done it better, if that makes sense. So, yeah, if you guys have any additional thoughts you guys would like to add to the episode, or what your guys' thoughts were on it, you can go ahead and comment in the comment section below what you guys thought of the episode. You guys can if you guys like this video, go and give it a thumbs up, and subscribe to my YouTube channel for every show or review. Sorry if I'm starting to get a little out of it. It's past midnight here in California, and I'm getting really tired. So if you guys, again, like what you see here, subscribe to my channel for all of the shows I review, trailer reviews, movie reviews coming up for maybe Doctor Strange this weekend. We'll see. I don't know. I'm definitely doing an extended cut of Suicide Squad review for that. Rogue One when it comes out, and a bunch of other shows and reviews and all that other stuff as well. So enough rambling for me. So thank you guys for watching, and until next week, have a good one.